my favorite series today, even though the scoreline wasn't the closest thing. If we get that type of gameplay here, you can surely expect it to be a nail-biter.
So Luis, back to Oli. Oli off the ceiling already, and that was a tight angle shot that almost found its way to the net. And both of these teams pretty strong when it comes to when they get set on offense, but Luis has to dump that back down over for Sailing to grab. And both played out to the corner, but Demensa winning a favorable 50 in front, gets all one touch and a second. That's two now that they've had getting close to the net, but just off the crossbar.
Yeah, and even in their previous matchup, I noticed that Demensa had been playing wonderfully with the shooting. It seemed to be a bit more accurate as well, kind of comparing himself a little bit to Atomic, or at least stepping up in that same regard, because Atomic, so far, if you want to look at the offense for Team Queso, it's going to be Atomic leading the charge most of the time, excuse me. He's been very consistent and a player that I've had my eye on for quite some time, and somebody we need to start respecting.
But on the other side, you'd certainly have to respect the attack from Rix, Rondé, and Oli.
Oh, yeah.
To be specific. They were such a threat on the transition against Dignitas, and finally Demensa will actually sneak this in for Team Queso, first goal.
Yeah, Sailing gets the demo setting up pretty easily for a shot over to Demensa as that one was rotating back. Nice little startup goal, 3 minutes and 43 seconds. And Team Queso, out of all three of these players, I think they rotate beautifully. I don't see a lot of disruption, especially whenever they get demo, and they're able to utilize a lot of different strategies here going forward. And I haven't really been able to pick apart their playstyle yet, though, so that's what I'm paying attention to most, how they rotate on the ball, who besides Atomic is being that second man. And Demensa, free little shot here. I'm not sure what happened to the defense, though.
Yeah, it all broke down, and Luis looks like he was just backing up, but he was just in a bad spot after that challenge. He didn't have enough boost to really go up and contest Demensa on the play, so backing up a little bit, didn't have the time to reposition, and that will be another freebie. You know, Wolves weren't letting those types of goals in earlier today, so game one maybe getting beyond them in the opening minutes. But you definitely expect them to clean it up a little bit more, or maybe not. Atomic scores again, and Queso are finding free range on these shots.
Yeah, lots of sloppy defense. Oli tries to get a touch there, maybe a clear into the corner to let his teammate follow it up, but instead completely whiffs. Then you got Atomic crash in the net. He's not going to miss those. He has been a consistent striker, like I said before, for Queso. You don't want to give up a lot of space, and that's exactly what Wolves did. Oh, again, what is going on?
Wow. It went off the kickoff here, and see on the cheat up is Sailing. And he wave dashes in front of it to kill his lateral momentum, and then has the perfect stop in front to go for that ball. Yeah. That was a nice little move.
There's a little hesitation, too, from Oli. On the cheat, he started to turn a little bit to his right and knew that he could go for the challenge, but instead saw his teammate behind him, hoped he could get a better 50, then Oli could then push up maybe for a reception of a clear, but definitely the wrong choice, seeing as if he just got that challenge, it would have prevented the goal. A bit sloppy off kickoff. No. The organization for this team, Wolves, has not been the best this beginning of this.
Yeah, there seems to be confusion consistently on who's going to be on first assignment on defense. Like everyone on that last push had pulled off the play. Rix makes up for lost positioning, and Oli actually wins a favorable challenge in front. If they can start the clock in the next few seconds, then maybe you start looking at this comeback. But you know, Queso haven't really felt any kind of pressure or any presence in the blue half from Wolves just yet. Hard to do when they've already put 4 on the board.
Yeah, and I'd like to see a couple of dribbles out of the defensive side. If they're not able to transition, do stuff like that from Oli, that's a great way to utilize it. That's what we saw from Oxygen and also BDS the previous matchup, as this one's free again for Atomic. They are slicing up the defense of Wolves and just cutting them apart, really.
That's just a risky pass to go for. You know, the second or third man passes when you know that the first man on defense for Queso is right there. Like, your pass has to be pinpoint. If it's not, that's going to happen. You know, you don't see that kind of risk taken, you know, all too often. But when you're down 4-0, you got to try something. 5-0 though, you can't start any better for Queso when they give you the kind of space and the misplays that you've seen on the line. you take what you can get. You haven't had to show too much of what you got in your hand, and Oli will get the pass downfield, but really game one is all Queso.
Seems like it's more of a mechanical issue, too, on the side of Wolves. I've noticed a couple of missed hits from Oli, who we know is a fantastic player. The communication like this from Luis, trying to pop that one out. It does actually work in their favor somehow. Still, Team Queso managed to break out, and it's just a little bit off when they're trying to make plays or keep the ball in their own control. Sometimes it'll be a missed touch that just gives away possession within maybe a few seconds because they can't keep it within their own grasp.
Tama getting the ball back out to Salen, and that's all they have to do. Get the ball out in the corner, long clear out. If you can win in midfield or score a couple more times, why not? But Wolves have been flat-footed on their own line and really looking the polar opposite of how they did against Dignitas. There's a pass in front, and Oli will be blocked, but you do like seeing them go for that.
Yeah.
Using this time to help iron out their progressions and start looking towards game two.
Yeah, I think passes at this point are much more important than individual goals in terms of momentum. I mean, yeah, you can get one here, but it's not going to necessarily build a lot of that confidence going forward because you would assume a lot of times that Team Queso, they're not as inclined to play the best defense with 21 seconds left. So you want to build some passes, go for that chemistry early on or late in this game, so that whenever you move into the next one, you can complete those passes, know how to move it down the field. Demensa now styling on him. Atomic, it's still in front of the net. Defense a bit more cleaned up, but the Team Queso, they're surely going to take it.
And I remember Juicy's interview earlier today when talking about how they wanted to approach the game, well, specifically against Dignitas, but in general as well, that they want to dictate the pace of the game. It was a nice little move at the end. But they want to dictate the pace of the game. They want to play their style.
Yeah.
But it felt like they were still playing reactionary to what Queso were doing, and unable to set the tone until late on. Luis will pick up the pick-me-up feel-good goal at the end as we head to game two.
We got the pool shot. Let's go. This is the best way. I talked about passing at the end of the game. No, this is the key to gaining momentum now. Definitely just a little bit of a goofy goal, but Queso still on point at the end of the day. And as we move forward, we need to see a bit more of a conscious gameplay out of Wolves. It seems like they're throwing the ball down the field without too much thinking or thought process as to where that one's going to go. I feel like whenever they do move forward, you could just dribble it, keep it close, instead of just basically teeing it off to Queso to move out through the field and get some passes on the other side.
Yeah, I think Wolves, they figured it out near the end there, but, Queso are playing with house money in game one when they're up 5-0. So you just end up giving a little bit more space. But if Wolves can, if they start off, win a kickoff, even if you don't win the kickoff, just make those first few challenges count. Make sure the communication is solid, because communication seemed to broke down a couple of times. No one was sure whose assignment was whose on a challenge. Everybody would stay back, and there was too much space given to Queso. I think these are fixable issues, and Wolves are certainly the caliber team to make those adjustments.
Yeah, predictability has been a huge theme so far in this new split. I've noticed a lot of different options, especially with BDS. They have been able to understand and read their opponents so well. Now you can see Team Queso are doing a bit of that. Almost found that side angle with Wolves. That was Oli. Would have been a crazy shot. Now Luis has one off the crossbar. It's not going to get saved. Demensa, I thought maybe he had a touch, but it was a little bit too late for him to jump up.
Nice back pass from Oli, but then slow down from Luis. He knew that challenge was coming, and so slowed it down right in front just to give himself a chance at the net. That put Demensa in a really tough spot because he thought that challenge was coming, and so he was positioned to follow that up, not the ball popping right over his teammate's head.
And that's the control that I wanted to see out of them, keeping it a little bit closer, because the defense of Team Queso will have a couple of errors left and right that you can exploit. But if you're not in control of the ball, there's no way you can push forward. Atomic now putting this one, it should have been saved, I think, from Oli. I could have sworn he would have gotten the solid touch out, but instead it just slips in.
See, the shot comes in and sitting right up top. Yeah, just a little too far off of it, but Luis was also coming back, and it looked like, again, a little tie-up on the back line. They got to clean up that the backboard. And getting the tie was Queso. Salen will send it back to the corner.
Definitely a bit panicky on defense is Wolves. Granted, the previous game wasn't the best demonstration, and they're probably feeling a little bit down on themselves, but it's important to stay hyped mentally. I don't know if that's going to be resulting from a coach or an in-game leader. I'd love to hear the comments, but that's a key element, especially after the previous result.
Ooh, tough situation for Ricks, but he got out of it. Salen gets behind the ball, but now Oli just trying to play enforcer in front. Atomic still avoided the demo and also got back to the ball. I think Queso are happy to play into this corner for as long as possible. Eventually a pass or a shot like that will develop. Salen puts it in.
The 50 from the corner is so difficult to pull off. You have to approach this ball beautifully from Salen. And he does just that on the left side, knows exactly where to dunk it. Even if that doesn't go towards the net, you're still setting up a teammate. If it bounces off the backboard, that's a lovely 50 from Salen.
Oli got nothing on it. He lost control of the ball on the attempted flip reset grab. But it's looking a lot cleaner. There's not, we haven't seen just a completely free ball be scored, but Demensa's just a little bit speedier, and he'll pick up a 2-goal lead for Team Queso.
That little pass off in the midfield to then set up the assist opportunity. This was a crazy play from Team Queso. These guys moving through the field more and more creatively as this series progresses. I'm starting to become a bigger fan, and Demensa, all of them actually getting a goal to their name. I thought it was just Demensa and Salen, but these guys, man, Team Queso, watch out for them.
Well, Lewis was forced back. Was able to get his boost and make the challenge happen, but this is the type of situations that Wolves have consistently found themselves in. Tough saves in front of the box. They can't get a hard clear out or a clear out to the corner, and they just take more shots on net, Queso do. Now Luis, a one-on-one, pops it over, but it's slow enough for Atomic to get back and make the save.
It was a good play, too, to leave that if you're Salen for Atomic. Better clear out, and that's how you know they're not panicking, even in situations where the ball is going into their own net. They will leave it for the better player, the preferred one who calls it out. But on the other side, it's Wolves who double commit a few times, and that's what's resulting in a couple of gaps. A nice little clear out from Salen. And again, they transition beautifully. This one almost hits the top corner, and they keep the pressure going.
Nobody was expecting that from Wolves. I don't think they have the read quite on the positioning of Team Queso. The positioning more so for where the ball could potentially go if they win a challenge, but not so much for how the passing is happening on Queso. A 3-point passing play, getting downfield, catching the entire Wolves team on the opposite side, shaded opposite, if you will. It's not going to win you the game. Well, Oli will pick up the next save. Ricks will kick it downfield. There's still time left for Wolves. And a miss from Salen will only give Atomic a chance at the clear. Oli undercut the ball. And it's going to be up to Luis to get this clear out. Even better. Even better. Okay. Oh, no, he missed. Ricks missed that ball. I wasn't looking at his cam, but he did run out of boost. He kicks away a player, and now the creativity comes out for Wolves off of what was kind of a botched defensive stop, but then it turned into, they patched the holes up real quick on that ship, and Luis has to clear it again.
Yeah, huge credit to Demensa finding that save. Even whenever Wolves did get a good look at the net, it was still, unfortunately, denied from Demensa, just showing that their defense is just as capable as their offense.
It's just a little slower to the ball, and they're winning some interesting 50s heading down the field. But again, a very wide set for Oli, but he takes the shot. Salen picks up the save. Demensa makes the challenge happen, but Oli's still in front, and Salen beats him to the ball. Queso had to send the house to get a clear. And Wolves have to be so frustrated because they've tried almost everything to score on this Queso net, and they still can't get anything.
As a player, this is 100% where your mentality gets tested the most. You get very, very close within getting a goal, inches away from the goal line, about to roll in, and somebody, of course, makes a save. It's happened 2 or 3 times so far this game alone. How do Wolves break out of this? Do they get tilted? Is their defense going to become a bit sloppier, or can they break out, stay consistent, and they at least keep on putting a couple shots on net? Because something has got to break for Team Queso.
There's been a few bright spots. Like this little push right here, those are good follow-ups, and it was just a great job by Queso of closing down the gap and really preventing any kind of clearance angle for Wolves. But the ideas are clearly there once they do get on offense. I just think Queso have the better read on the positioning of Wolves, and Atomic forces his way through. Demensa's also looked solid, and that's a 2-game lead for Team Queso.
Yeah, and I think that's exactly right, Jordan. understanding and having a solid read on what's happening. Queso just seemed to be a bit more in control of, okay, this 50 is going to squeeze up. I better move into the midfield. I better be prepared for this. Wolves a little bit more reactive, and they're not necessarily thinking ahead of how this 50 is going to result and the positioning of each of their teammates' cars and also the opponents. That's so important to pay attention to, because a lot of times whenever you're a team like Wolves as a player, you're so desperate for a goal. You've hit so many shots that are on target, but it keeps getting saved out. So you can't focus on anything but putting on shots. You start losing your focus on other things like positioning, boost management, things like that start to slip away slowly.
And it took an effort from Luis to pick up that goal by recognizing the challenge in front of him and playing around that. You know, that little bit of creativity that was the only time they ever were able to pull that out. But other times they did have good passes in front and some decent shots. They got to find a way to harry this rotation more of Queso. Otherwise, they might keep running into this wall.
Yeah, definitely want to build on the awareness that we did see from Luis, because whenever he slowed down the pitch a little bit, that was an indicator he knew exactly of where the opponents were trying to go, of the position he was set in, and the best possible outcome, or at least something that could throw the defense for a whirl. Basically, Team Queso, nothing's making them panic. How do you do that as the Wolves? We'll find out.
We will find out. They got to do it now. There's only been 10 times in Rocket League competitive history that we've seen a best-of-7 reverse sweep. I don't know if you want to tack those odds onto this match if you're Wolves. And if you want to get even more specific, it's only 7 times in RLCS history. Queso almost started with another goal. Sail in, steps in front, and the delay to allow Demensa to come in almost gave them another goal. That kickoff win gives Queso all the leeway here on offense while Wolves search for a way out. No midfield presence and a free pass. Gets another save for Oli.
Counterattack.
Rix has it. All 3 members of Team Queso are way too far back, and Wolves will pick up the first goal.
Yeah, really nice series of defense here. You had to get that final block coming off the backboard. I'm not sure who it was from Wolves, but the rotation was solid. And then you were able to push out as the Team Queso over-aggressed a bit. And so far, Wolves much more composed on defense. Usually in those final moments where the ball's about to go over, you panic. And speaking of panic, you get done dirty from your boy Atomic with the mind games. Wow.
The smoke screen kind of enabled that one to work. It shaded how Atomic, or where Atomic was, where the ball was for just a second. But in that situation, Wolves take the best approach that you can. We just got to go up and try to challenge that. And Atomic makes a nice little move to tie it up quickly. This is almost the exact same thing that happened at the start of last game, Turtle, where, you know, Luis makes a nice play for a goal, but then it's immediately responded by Queso.
Yeah.
They just can't seem to find any kind of room or space to breathe.
That's when you're most sensitive as well to a goal as a player, because you get a little bit of confidence and then you start breaking out more for 50s. You think a bit more positively, which you would assume is a good thing. But a lot of times, if you lose a 50, nobody is prepared for it because everybody thought you were going to win it. Here's Atomic now in the corner. Nice little touch to get it around that one player and squeeze it under the final goalkeeper.
Yeah, all he has to do is, you know, make the length of his octane as long as possible, flip into it under when the player's challenging that high, and that roll is what's going to secure you the goal there. A nice move, like you said, by Atomic. And he stuffs the ball again here and actually gets it by Luis.
Look at all the 50s in the corner, maintaining that pressure. Atomic is just a huge element to Team Queso's roster. And what he adds is all of that offensive pressure and the time.
Popped up by Oli, and Rix can't get there fast enough. But this might be the setup for Wolves, except there's no midfield boosts for Oli to grab, so he can't turn around on it, and Rix stopping him on the tactical retreat. Can they turn around and get something quickly? Oh, he just got under the ball. I think his first pop, it was a little faster than he was hoping for. Atomic shot taken away again. And we're back to the same story as that was interesting. And it keeps the ball locked in the orange half. Another shot, and Rix can't make the save. Too powerful. Queso, another 2-goal lead.
Yeah, and they're doing it on match point of this best of 5. You can see Atomic on the left side, drives forward, recognizes nobody's going to be able to recover and get up to a 50, sees he can take a shot early on. I don't think the goalkeeper even expected him to find a hit from that side, or maybe even go for a midfield pass. Instead, just that early hit from midfield is all it takes.
You know, Turtle, You just pointed out to me something that I hadn't realized this whole time.
I didn't want to be that guy.
We just got out of that winter semi. I was still in best of 7 mode, so I'm just like, and I'm listening to Gibbs talk about best of 7, so I'm in that.
Hey man,
I'm in that mode. I got it wrong the whole time. I'm talking about like reverse sweeps not happening with best of 7s. I'm sure everyone was like, what are you talking about? Well, it is match point.
Listen, at least you don't join games like me and James, okay?
That's true.
There's always a benefit, okay? Because that's the lowest tier. Me and James are sitting down there. At least you don't have that.
But back to the match. I like how Atomic looks in this game. His 50 game has been consistent, and he's just had the better read. Sometimes he slows it down a little bit, or even fakes the challenge, which will allow, allow Demensa or Salen to come in and clean it up. There's still just nothing from Wolves on offense. Yeah. They are lacking in the transition game, and that shot was the first shot they've taken in about a minute. That's their 3rd shot on net total. Compare that to the 10 from Queso, and I think that matches up with the eye test.
Yeah, definitely a flat offense from everyone on Wolves, and look at this dish from the corner, Demensa. We aren't seeing any of this mechanical ability out of Wolves whatsoever.
Wow, he just threaded his way across the back wall and weaved a pretty picture for Queso. Nicely done by Demensa. And got that dish.
Yeah.
Kind of snuck it in right on the post.
He's the support for Atomic. As much
Flip
as
reset.
Okay. As much as we want to talk about him, we're mentioning Atomic all the time, but then his teammates now, you can see Salen with the flip reset almost popping off, and then now the save again from Demensa. He came across the net, a highlight save at that, and they managed to break out. Team Queso, surely after that, are going to take this one.
That takes the wind out of your sails if you're Wolves, right? Rix is 100% like, yes, I finally got this follow-up. Yeah. All right, we can start the clock. We'll only be down by 2, and then Demensa just crushes your hopes and all your dreams. That has to feel terrible if you're Rix, but great if you're Demensa. You're like, yeah, I made that save.
Those saves are the craziest to watch as well, because you have to hit it. He doesn't have enough time to completely hit the ball out of the net right away, so he has to bounce it off the post, then follow it up, and now the demo from Atomic. The offensive Wolves didn't even know how to approach this ball. Just been confused as to where this was going to bounce. They thought Salen was going to get a touch, and Atomic takes you out. What are you going to do about it? Just a frustrating game for Wolves, and Team Queso still on top.
It's been mechanical misplays, odd positioning, and then sometimes the mechanical misplay, putting your positioning in an odd place. It's kind of all gone wrong for Wolves. And that last goal kind of does it. It's been a solid performance from Team Queso, but solid was good enough. I don't think Wolves really gave them much that they had to scream at on offense.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and they're keeping somebody forward for the reception of all these clears. Somebody booms it up. Atomic usually there, Demensa to mess around with it in the corner. Now this one slips back, but 18 seconds left. Got to hand it to Team Queso. They have been confident and composed this entire series.
Back out to the corner again, but the remaining time is merely a formality. It's looking like a clean 3-0 sweep for Team Queso, and they will be moving on in the lower bracket. Wolves' run is over. Queso moving on.
Got Queso coming up against Giants Gaming now in the bracket. That'll be happening tomorrow. I am excited to see what Atomic has left in store for this bracket, because he is a monster. Supported by Demensa and Salen, I've been impressed. These guys have been more and more on my radar, and I think going forward, they've only got a lot of room to grow. From what we've seen, there's potential in the skill. Now you just have to thread a little bit more passing, and you've got a great roster.
Yeah, I like this Wolves team. I certainly agree with you, Turtle. I do think that they have, a lot to work on, but also there's so much that they can look at in this tournament and be like, we did a lot of good things in this tournament, and those things can be built upon. For Team Queso, the Giants are gonna be a tough out. That is gonna be a tough match for them to have, but I'm excited for that one, as well as, on the upper side after watching BDS win. BDS Vitality is turning into a classic in Europe.
That's a banger.
Hey, that's all we got for today. We'll have the guys on the desk recap it and get you ready for tomorrow. Leaf, guys, take it back.